A challenge has been issued to schools. Be daring, be different, be innovative, but don't forget, balance budgets, meet targets, please inspectors. The reality of the pressures on schools and staff means there's little opportunity or encouragement for innovation. In this series of 3 programmes, we follow 2 heads of department who are challenged to implement new approaches in their schools. We find out what they need to make change a reality. Is it a clear focus, the right support, or just the cash? And we see the problems they have to deal with along the way. We've also invited education and innovation consultant Dr. Paul Sternberg to cast his expert eye over the projects.
I think what's needed is a new approach to the school timetable and to being imaginative about the school timetable.
This is East Manchester, where it's recognised that regeneration means more than just the economy and infrastructure. It also involves raising aspiration and attainment in schools. Russell Cormack from the new East Manchester education team wants to give a further boost to the area's 3 secondary schools. He's offering £2,500 to each of the school's English, Maths and Science departments. They have to target the money at GCSE achievement, and they need to come up with innovative ideas. And the catch is, with only 5 weeks left before the end of the spring term, they've got to implement these very quickly if they're going to make a difference. Today, Russell is visiting each of the schools as a follow-up to his letter offering the cash, which he's managed to find through the Excellence in Cities programme.
It doesn't have to be focused entirely on your subject content material. You know, if you feel as though the best way to raise attainment in this is to look at aspirations and motivation and things like that with the run-up to these exams, that's great. I know this is a little bit different and a little bit rushed in the way that it's working, but I found the funds and I can't not let you have it now, because I'm sure you, as head of department, can think of ways to use that funds in terms of the way that you think's best for your pupils. I know all of you are in the school are running innovative and creative things to raise attainment, but this is hopefully going to boost the Year 11s and those ideas that you possibly wanted to have run but haven't had the funding.
The head teachers are totally supportive, but they know the extra money for English, Maths and Science could come at a cost to other subjects.
But I suspect there will be some jealousy on part of other departments who can see that English, Maths and Science may be getting some additional funding, some additional resourcing, some timetabling issues. But as all heads of faculty in this school know, they know the government agenda is, critically focused on English and Maths now. Science in our school is part of that focus because we aspire to be a science college.
We won't get it absolutely right first time, but I'm quite happy to lead from the front and say to staff, all staff, this is important. You try and minimise the impact on other subjects and you try and keep everyone on board. But I think everyone knows these are the core subjects and these are the ones that are our priority.
The heads of department have already been thinking of how to spend the money. In most cases, their ideas have had for some time but haven't been able to fund.
One of the biggest challenges we have is that getting the children motivated and taking responsibility for their own grade and getting the parents on side, because very often you speak to the parents and they immediately say, but I was rubbish at maths at school, I couldn't do it, and trying to provide support for the parents at home to help their children.
Would you be running any sort of revision sessions in school for parents?
Possibly, yeah. I think, to get them on board.
Perhaps we could do a collaborative session for parents for English, Maths and Science as we do with the SAT.
One of the most ambitious ideas comes from Paul Barker-Matthews, Head of English and Media at Cedar Mount. He wants to take pupils out of school for 3 days for a series of seminars at a local college, despite the obvious implications for the timetable and staffing.
We're going to have to be given more time, more staffing, more resources, and we're going to have to go up the pecking order, I think, when schools are prioritising, because the boss is going to say to me in September, we're in trouble because you failed to deliver.
Back at his desk, Russell reflects on the ideas that have been put forward so far.
Do you think teachers, by their nature, are quite conservative or cautious creatures?
I don't think they are very cautious. I think teachers will definitely do what they feel is best for their pupils that they have in front of them in their class, and they'll learn from trying things out. But invariably, we need new stimuluses, we need new opportunities to think about what we're doing at the moment, and is there anything different?
The two departments we're highlighting want to get their projects underway before the end of the spring term. That gives them just 4 weeks after getting the money. In Fiona McGarvey's case, the need for urgency has been showing for some time and could mean a sudden departure from her role as head of maths at St. Peter's. Her policy is for most pupils to take their GCSE at the end of Year 10. She finds it works because they don't have any other exams to distract them. She decides to ask the pupils themselves what sort of additional help they would like.
Joshua, you any ideas then on what could help you improve your grade?
Revise.
Revise?
To teach us how to remember all the things that you teach us.
OK, so how can I do that?
See, I don't know.
You don't know?
We could, like, tell you what we're struggling with, and you can teach it us as a lesson.
OK, so in other words, you are identifying what you can't do and bringing that to me or whoever's teaching you as to what it is you need to be done.
So quite a positive feedback from the pupils. They did actually want some help, didn't they?
Yeah, they want help, and obviously their ideas are different to just the normal, what we'd normally do, which would just be after-school lessons for them. It's interesting that so many of them are involved in sport, so can't do after-school lessons or have got other reasons why they can't stay behind.
Yeah, they want help, but it's got to be on their terms.
Yeah.
You guys?
At Cedar Mount, there's no need to consult pupils about the extra help they need with English. The head of department, Paul, has already decided to press ahead with his 3 days of seminars, an event he calls the conference. Paul does, however, discuss his plans with the Year 11 prefects in their common room.
All right, guys, can we gather round?
At the same time as he's supposed to be meeting other members of his department.
But we don't just want it to be all work, we want to have some play. What activities do you want us to be offering?
Relaxation.
Relaxation sessions, yeah? I know that.
So what was that massaging thing you were talking about?
Well, I think they do. Hey, don't make it sound as dodgy as that, all that massaging thing you think I want to do.
The 3-day conference will be held at Manchester College of Art and Technology, or ManCat. It has a sixth-form college which attracts a large number of pupils from the school. Paul wants to build on the success of a one-day conference at the college last year.
It's Mr. Hughes. He'll be wondering where we are because I'm meeting with the team next just to firm up some data and just say, right, this is what the prefects want.
Do we have to be in uniform?
I would say it's non-uniform. If you're asking me to make it non-uniform, it gives me more power to go back to Mr. Hutchins and Miss Hill and say,
yeah,
they want to be treated like students.
So me and Ashley have got an art exam.
What date's that?
I think it's like
19.
Do not worry about art.
The clash with the art exam is one of a number of timetabling problems that have to be solved.
So far, 3 teachers have been to see me. 3 teachers left satisfied. 2 very positively, 1 I don't know about. So we'll have to see about that one. We'll see if someone comes back to me, if a head of faculty comes back to me.
You're not going to tell me who that is, are you?
No, I'm not going to tell you who that is.
Paul finally reaches his departmental meeting and makes a significant discovery. A key member of staff won't be able to help out with his project. He's going to South Africa instead. Despite this staffing hiccup to his plans, Paul moves on with the business in hand. They're targeting around 80 pupils who they believe are capable of moving up a grade if given a push.
I've got 12 kids who I think deserve to go. Certainly potential D candidates.
I think my class is very much in the same situation as Sophie's, in that it would really boost them.
What about your class, Ben?
Well, there's 5 or 6 of the lads that I think maybe would benefit.
When Fiona brings her colleagues together in the maths department at St. Peter's, they quickly decide they're not going to hold formal after-school revision classes.
It starts off well, but then it just fizzles out. That's the problem that we have. It's like starts off in large numbers and then it just decreases over time. So then it doesn't work.
Yeah. And this is when you're actually teaching a proper subject as such, so you're actually planning an activity and so it's a bit of a waste of time.
What we can do is we can say, right, we'll be available on such and such a night for a drop-in. I mean, I don't mind being available for such and such a night because I do other things at lunchtimes or whatever, or even before school. Yeah. Because we get some children that come in and they sit in the canteen.
That's settled then, they're going to hold drop-in sessions. They also decide to use their newfound funds on study packs for revision at home, where they hope parents become actively involved. It becomes clear, however, that Fiona is having second thoughts about bringing parents into school.
Do you think revision packs is really going to excite parents?
I don't know if it's going to excite them, but I think it's going to give them a security blanket. So that, one of the things they do say to us a lot is, but I couldn't do maths at school, I don't understand what it is you're doing. And often they do ask, is there anything that I could use to help me help my child? And I think it's giving them it so they don't have to go off and find which, because all the revision books are usually for particular exam boards. They wouldn't have to go find which exam board or which book to get, and it's going to be sent home and linked all up with all the work that's going to be coming home. It's whether or not we get the parents in and explain it all to them, or whether or not we do it by letter.
As the planning continues, our innovation expert, Dr. Paul Sternberg, arrives in East Manchester to talk through progress with Russell Cormack.
And are you satisfied that it's been creative and innovative in the way that the money's been used?
Well, the whole process is very innovative. For a department, for a head of department, or a whole department to say that they're going to have £2,500 for them to use as they decide to fit for their department and the pupils in their school, that's quite innovative.
What have been the risks and the pitfalls?
We're in a situation with education where there's so many initiatives and so many strategies. We've got national secondary strategies, extra initiatives coming in, all trying to do the same thing, which is raise attainment. So I didn't want this to be yet another thing so I had to think quite carefully about how to word that in terms of, this is some money, what have you been really thinking about doing? Risks for schools was that there's, in terms of capacity to deliver this, I had to try and make sure that the departments realised it was their funds. It wasn't going into the school budget, it was their funds for them to use.
Coming up in episode 2, we'll find out how our 2 projects move from planning to implementation. Do any pupils drop in to the drop-in sessions? And does the English department get everything it wants from the head?
Hi mate, it's only me.